You go to sleep crying yourself to sleep, literally cursing God, cussing God with the words you'd learned that day at school.
Larry Blue was 9 years old when his world came crashing down. His parents separated, and that same year, a relative began to physically and sexually abuse him. Larry blamed God.
I was praying, obviously, and naturally for God to bring my dad back home and for the abuse to stop. And then when, Dad didn't come back home, got remarried, the abuse kept going. And so the anger kept building. I decided at a really early age, at 9, that God must not exist.
In his teen years, Larry tried to numb his pain.
I had started gambling, looking at pornography, drinking alcohol at 13 years old, and grew mushrooms and sold them at school, made my own acid or LSD, sold it at school. Just about anything I put my hands on was becoming an addiction.
After high school, Larry served 2 years in the Army and stopped using drugs. But after he left the service, he became a roadie for a band and started working large concerts. Drugs and alcohol were readily available.
My career fed my addiction, and my lifestyle fed my addiction, and they all just fed into each other. It was really hard to break out of that cycle doing that career. There was very little accountability. I didn't have to drive much when I was on the road working, so I just continued to use, drink. The drug addiction just went spiraling out of control again.
In his 30s, Larry stopped traveling and tried to settle down. He married and had a daughter, but his addictions were still in control.
The thing I was looking for most was the next high, and it started as soon as I woke up in the morning.
Larry was arrested for numerous DUIs and served short stints behind bars. After his third arrest, his wife left and his family completely cut ties.
I didn't want treatment, I didn't want help. I didn't think there was anything wrong with me. I thought it was everybody else's problem and not mine.
In September 2001, Larry was arrested for his 7th DUI and was handed a 14-year prison sentence.
The judge right away started to tell me, you can forget about getting a bond, you can forget about getting bail, you're going to prison. No one was taking any of my phone calls. I had burnt all the bridges, and I was finally left alone with the Lord. And that's exactly what had to happen.
For the first time in years, Larry started to pray. He also started reading the Bible.
I knew nothing about God. I had been atheist all my life. When I started to read the Bible, I said to God, I will read every word of this. And I had read through the whole New Testament.
After reading about the life and teachings of Jesus, Larry wanted more. So he went to a prison church service where the pastor challenged the inmates to give their lives to God.
And at the end of that sermon, even though I had just honed in on every word that preacher had said, I was still reluctant to go forward. And in that split second, I thought, I've been a military policeman, I've been a stagehand, camera operator, I've experienced all these other things, drug addiction. I've never tried this. I was one of the last people to go forward to the altar call. He put one hand right in the center of my chest and one hand around me on my back, and he started to pray. It was like somebody had taken honey out of the microwave in like a measuring cup and just poured it down the back of my neck. And I felt this warmth just coming all over my body. And then I thought, I don't care what this is, I just want more, God, just pour it on me. That changed everything for me.
Larry says that day he was immediately delivered from all of his addictions. He also gained the courage to forgive his childhood abuser.
It took me several days of prayer and asking the Lord to help me to forgive her. I realized that I was never going to grow. I was never going to fully mature as a person until I found the strength somehow to forgive my abuser.
Larry was in prison less than a year when the judge gave him a 6-year home detention sentence. It was later reduced to only 6 months.
That was definitely the favor of God. There's no way an attorney could have worked that out for me, no matter how much money I would have paid to go from a 6-year sentence to a 6-month sentence. That was definitely the favor of God.
After his release, Larry earned a degree in theology and began leading a church prison ministry. Today, he's still free from his addictions and has restored his relationship with his daughter. He's also a licensed addiction counselor for the Salvation Army.
I'm sure there's young people out there like I was, I'm sure there is, that are thinking, oh no, not another guy talking about Jesus. What I would say to those people right now is, get a hold of the Lord now before more of your life is gone. God has done miraculous things in my life in such a short period of time. Don't wait, reach out for Him now.